Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor Combaluzier, a mining analyst at Red Cloud Securities. This session of our Green Energy Conference will feature altitude discoveries. From the company, we have with us Sebastian Wahl, Director, and Donald McIver, Geological Advisor. I'll note that if any attendees have questions, to just type it in through the event application and we'll get to them at the end of the session. I'll also note that the company presentation is also available on the conference website. And with that, I'll turn it right over to Sebastian and Donald to guide us through the story.
Thank you very much, Tyler. Good morning, everyone. Very quickly, today we're going to hear, I'm going to introduce together with Donald the opportunity of a discovery of a world-class asset based in Peru. It is a gold, copper, porphyry exploration asset of a Maricunga style based in the district of Huancavelica. That altitude not only has the exploration rights, but the complete earning rights. And you're going to learn more about the geology and the investment opportunity further on. Very quick summary here on the team. You got Donald, who is our geological advisor, myself, Carlos Aban, who is running our geology team on site, and Jose, who's a director. As mentioned, this is an opportunity for a gold, copper, porphyry target in Peru. A fairly attractive exploration asset that we have fully secured. And the most important takeaway right up front, it is a drill-ready target that we're going to start to drill within the next 30 days, and we'll be able to deliver some exciting news for our investors in short order. This is the point where I would like to hand over to Don for him to give you a good summary on the geology before we get further into the company. Don, please go ahead.
Thank you, Sebastian. Good morning, everybody. Using this opportunity, I just want to say that the information that I will present is a result of some intensive and very good field work by our young team of altitude discovery geologists, excellent team headed up by Carlos Saban, the chief geologist. So these gold porphyries that we're looking at are one of the most significant and biggest gold sources within the planet's upper crust. There are a number of significantly big Maricunga-style gold porphyry deposits developed right here in South America and a little up north into Central America. The size of these deposits ranges from relatively small, talking 3 million ounces, to almost 20 million ounces gold, as in the case of the gold porphyries located in the Sayar Maricunga, Atacama Desert, Chile. These larger deposits do not only occur in Chile. There is a significantly sized gold porphyry just up the road from Arcopunco in the department of Cajamarca, Peru. This is a 13.7 million ounce gold porphyry deposit called Conga. I'll ask you to try and remember the location of these deposits because we will briefly touch on them as we go through the presentation. And just take note on the right-hand side of that table of the size resources that these Maricunga-style gold porphyry deposits actually do represent. Moving to the next slide. So Altitude Discoveries has quite diligently identified with the team of geologists some 9,100 hectares of highly prospective properties with gold porphyry potential in the department of Huancavelica, focusing in the district surrounding the renowned Recuperada silver polymetallic mineralized belt. You'll see that these properties are located around about 240 kilometers straight line from Lima, the capital of Peru. Next slide, please. This image is taken at 5,000 meters elevation in the Andes and depicts the eroded remnants of the roots of a high sulfidation epithermal portion of the Arcopunco mineralized system. As one moves transitionally down through the system, one passes through from the overlying breccias into the wormy textures that one sees in the rock, typical of a transition from high sulfidation epithermal into underlying and enveloping portions of, in this case, a highly prospective fertile gold mineralized porphyry. How do we know the mineralized system is fertile? Well, there's 3,500 meters of historical drilling on the project, And even considering that the original target of that drilling was hydrothermal breccias, or turned out to be leached hydrothermal breccias on surface, the results of drilling still indicated an estimated 40,000 ounces of gold within a very restricted area of that porphyry, drilling to shallow depths. That was in the 90s, the late 90s. This slide that we see at the moment is really just there to show that Altitude Discoveries has completed some quite detailed work on this opportunity, or on this project. Telescopic spectral mapping of the hydrothermal alteration has been completed every 2 to 3 meters on the 3,500 meters of existing core. That has been quite thorough, and these results support quite strongly our geological interpretation, which is showing that the mineralized system includes an upper eroded high sulfidation epithermal environment, and that transitions down into an underlying prospective gold mineralized porphyry system. Next slide, please. So the images shown in this slide, moving from left to right, show us the upper weathered cemented hydrothermal near surface breccias that were the original drilling target, and then descends down through the transitional zone, which is indicated by the wormy textures, which are definitive and representative of the geological transition downwards from an overlying high sulfidation system into an underlying porphyry, and eventually ending in mineralized porphyry textures, including also hosting some narrow veinlets, type A, type C, type EB, and type T4 veinlets. Next slide, please. And again, this slide is providing further evidence taken from the historical core, which has been relogged, sampled, and reinterpreted by Altitude Discoveries, providing additional evidence of a prospective mineralized multiple intrusive porphyry with several episodes of brecciation. Highly prospective. Again, here we are seeing those typical porphyry rock textures. It's fine-grained, which is typical of these Maricunga-style deposits, and again, hosting that suite of narrow A, C, EB, and T4 veinlets. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a complicated slide. Just take home from it a few facts. It's a schematic cross-section through a typical gold, copper, Maricunga-style porphyry, and what we need to take home is the following 3 points. With reference to the scale that you see in the top left-hand corner, you should note that these are large mineralized systems. They're typically emplaced at relatively shallow depths, and they are microgranular. As I mentioned, this is exactly what we're seeing in the Arcopunco core. And they have an intimate relationship with calderas and dome fields. We have a significant dome field at Arcopunco. These porphyries are in section, cylindrically shaped, and most of the mineralization occurs within a peripheral ring around that cylindrical porphyry. Advanced argillic alteration, as seen at Arcopunco, overprints the potassic stage of alteration near surface, and also the gold, copper, molybdenum mineralization is associated in these systems with the overlying high sulfidation epithermal event. Next slide, please. So here again, we're seeing that geological map of Arcopunco porphyry system. Take-homes, important to note that the stockwork porphyry, as you see there with the red and white hatching on it, there are several of these porphyry bodies, and these are hosted within a granodioritic porphyry. The stockwork porphyries actually host narrow sheeted veinlets that we see actually outcropping on surface as we touch on the upper contact. And those two images on the right-hand side show in live the contact between the top contact of this sheeted vein stockwork porphyry with the overlying andesitic volcanics. These andesitic volcanics are highly weathered, and they form the last remnants of the lithocap over this mineralized system. Important to note in those pink colors, the pink colors you see on the map, those are all different rhyolitic domes that have emplaced themselves around this porphyry system. It's a multi-event mineralized system, and it has the remnant breccias, phreatic hydrothermal breccias in yellow shown on surface. Those were the targets that were drilled previously by the previous operator. So let's move to the next slide, please. And I think, what are we looking at? Okay, this is the Lobo type Maricunga style type example of these mineralized systems. Note in plan view, the two images on the left-hand side, the typical ring-shaped gold mineralization shell, peripheral around the central porphyry. And in section on the right-hand side, the consistent tenor of gold mineralization as this extends down in depth. And you'll note also that horizontally, there is variability in the gold mineralization as you move away from this central porphyry. Next slide, please. This is an exciting deposit, the Cerro Casale Maricunga style deposit, 19.6 million ounces of gold. What we've done is we've put a couple of red lines across these sections. These two red lines are separating an upper, a medium, and a lower mineralized horizon. And what we're seeing in that upper mineralized horizon, where we see hydrothermal breccias on surface, is that there has been gold depletion up there. This is consistent in these systems. We're seeing that at Arco Punco as well. We're seeing gold enrichment in the intermediate magmatic breccia level. And at Arco Punco, our first phase of drilling, which is due to kick off within the next couple of weeks, we'll be targeting this area as our priority target for the first drill holes. We're also seeing in the deeper parts of the system that the gold has been preserved in that part of the system. Next slide, thanks, Sebastian. Okay, I think here we're just repeating some of that. It's just a summary of the characteristics we've spoken about in the previous slide. So let's move on to the following slide. Okay, the Congo type Maricunga gold porphyry in Cajamarca. This is up north of Arco Punco, 13.7 million ounces of gold. What we're looking at is three sections here. The two right-hand sections are an east-west and north-south bearing section. This is to show the cylindrical nature of the porphyry. You can see the red line of the marking the limits of the open pit on this deposit, and you can see quite clearly that there has been this leaching in the upper parts of the Cajamarca Conga porphyry. You see the gold kicking in very well in those mid to deeper levels, and this is where the hydrothermal breccias are non-existent, for hydrothermal phreatic breccias. Next slide, please. Again, I think just repeating the story, what to take home from this image is that on the right-hand side in the yellow color, that is the argillic alteration, very strong argillic alteration that we're seeing also at Arco Punco, overlying the mineralized porphyry down below, which is potassically altered. We have not seen on surface any outcrop of potassic alteration yet at Arco Punco, so that's just reinforcing our interpretation that we're dealing with a intact and preserved porphyry system at Arco Punco. So next slide. What we'll just discuss briefly here, I think, is just getting into those some of those conclusions for Arco Punco. What we're seeing in the image is from our 3D model, the existing 14 drill holes that were previously drilled in the late 90s. We're seeing, if you look at the legend down below, the gold tenor as we go through into the warm colors, those elevated grades are coming in the deeper parts of the system as we go out of the phreatic hydrothermal breccias and into the underlying porphyry. 40,000 ounces at 0.4 grams a ton and open. So a large system to be explored. I think this will be the final slide before I hand you back to Sebastian for concluding remarks, but the altitude discoveries, geological evaluation and interpretation shows us that in the upper parts of this mineralized system, where we have drilling, that historical drilling investigating gold, copper, moly mineralization is actually hosted within the underlying porphyry rocks and not in the overlying breccia bodies as was previously thought and originally targeted. Our upcoming drilling campaign will focus on the depths, getting into the magmatic breccias, and we're looking at probably 400 to 600 meters depth for that range of targets. And there we expect not to see any leaching of gold, which has also been proven by what we're seeing in the core. The Arco Punco mineralized system is proving to be an exciting, very large gold, copper, molybdenum porphyry target, and our team is recognizing an impressive potential to make a significant discovery. We believe that Acapulco represents a company maker, and we are focused on taking this project from discovery through to production. So thank you for your attention. I'll pass you back to Sebastian Wahl, Director and Co-founder. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. Very quickly. So what we heard here is obviously an exciting opportunity for the discovery of a world-class asset. And I think the important takeaway is that the founders and the current management have prepared the company, and investors coming in right now get to participate in the immediate value creation, which means moving the drill rig. We're not going to drill in 6 months and 12 months. We're going to drill within the month of July, early August for our first drilling campaign. It means money into the ground and results fairly soon. So for any early investors, this is obviously a potential multiplier right out of the gate. We do anticipate on list at the TS6 fairly soon. Currently, this is a private company, which is offering a private placement of 1.5 million Canadians in return for about 4.2 million shares, which represents about 27% of the company. And the private placement will be closed by the end of the month, which we hopefully, we invite you everyone to participate. This is exciting. Again, moving the drill rigs right now, potential of a world-class asset. And with that, I think I would hand it over to the Q&A.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sebastian and Donald, for that presentation. I would remind everybody attending the conference that you can submit your questions at any time via the event chat, and we will ask them to the presenters. So we have had a couple questions come in so far. The first one, just remind viewers, how many meters drilling are you budgeting to test the target?
That's a good question. Sebastian, you might want to follow on this, but what we're targeting for the initial drilling stage is 2,500 to 3,000 meters. And then we're planning to extend that if we can raise enough money to 5,000 meters. We have already considered 5,000 meters of drilling.
Great. Okay. And then you mentioned getting going with drilling this month. How long do you expect that to continue for?
Yeah, mobilization will be at the end of the month. So it'll kick off within another week or 10 days after that. And to drill that amount of meters, we're looking at about 2 months of drilling. Then we'll be, focusing on evaluating the information, getting those analysis results back, and processing the data. So hopefully we'll be in position to start reporting on those results, a month after that.
Great.
Perhaps
okay.
Complementing that very quickly, altitude is very well established in the community. We're drilling for a client already. So in terms of logistic, community relations, and permits, we're fully set up to act immediately.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, we did have one question, just wondering about local communities around there. I don't know if there's any additional color on that. And you did mention good relations, but is it just one community you have to deal with, or are there multiple?
There's one center community with a few satellites, if you will. It is a mining-friendly district that has seen mining activities for decades. We are present in the district for over 4 years right now, with other projects, with other companies, fairly successful. And there's a very positive environment with the community to do exploration as well as taking projects forwards.
If I can just jump on there and add to that, we're actually drilling with 2 rigs at the moment on a client on a neighboring property. And we have a 3rd rig coming up, a surface rig, to join that operation also around about the same time as the Acapulco drilling will start. So yeah, no issues with our communities, very good relationships. Great.
Okay. And then we do have one other question, wondering about the valuation. It says the valuation seems rather low to me. Is this the first round of financing?
That is correct. The valuation is kept on purpose attractive for investors to participate early on, and obviously to participate on the upside. There's a certain risk involved in such an exploration, so there should be a good reward as well for investors. But yeah, the valuation is fairly attractive. This is the first money outside of founders and management that we raise. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. With that, we are out of time. So I would like to thank both Sebastian and Donald for presenting altitude discoveries to us this afternoon and or this morning. And up next, our next company is Phenom Resources Corp.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.